Okay, guys. Hi. Good morning. It's a treat today. We're on early for all you early birds. Alrighty. So we'll go ahead and get started. It's week 4. I can't believe it's been a month. Number one. Really, technically 5 weeks because we started with setup week. But this week was a big week because we started to talk about planning for the unexpected. Last week we started with a little bit of meal prep planning stuff, but this week it's all about what to do when life kind of just hits you in the face, and then being prepared for it. So for the first day, we started with planning for the unexpected. And that lesson, you also got your 3-day meal plan. But we asked you for the assignments this week to pick, one to do a freezer meal. So this means the freezer meal is your emergency meal where you're going to cook it, but you have to put it in the freezer and you're not going to use it yet. You're going to save it for one of those times when you have it, you don't have any other option, or you have a crazy schedule and you need a backup plan. So that's what that assignment's for. You're not supposed to eat it this week. You freeze it and then save it for another week when you need it. The other assignment is to pick 2 restaurants. So on Monday, I believe you got a day of food example of things to eat on the go. So what we asked you to do was to pick one fast type of restaurant, and then also one that is more like a sit down or something that you would go out to eat with friends, where you would need to look at the menu prior type of thing, and have something in mind that that you're going to eat, and having your plan of what you would eat at that restaurant. Now, me in Hattiesburg, my go-tos are normally, and granted, you can pretty much eat the habits at any restaurant that you want, but I do have some go-tos that they're just no-brainers. I know that I'm going to make a good decision whenever I go there, and I know that I probably won't be tempted to do, make not so good decisions, because I know what I like, I know what I can order, and I know that I like it, type of thing. And one of my favorite restaurants in Hattiesburg is Tabella. Now, I would probably pick that meal over any other, even if it was some fancier restaurant or something like that. I literally just love the salmon and the green beans and broccoli. I just can't get enough of it. So usually whenever I'm going out to eat, I'm always picking a fish, but that's just because I'm obsessed with fish. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's the number one option as far as healthy eating, but I'm usually gonna go for the fish, and I'm usually going to ask for any kind of sauces or anything like that on the side. When you're reading a menu or something like that, that's the type of stuff that you want to look at, is to make sure that you are paying attention to how is it prepared, type of thing. And if you're not sure of the wording on a menu, just ask the waiter, say is there any sauces? Is there any butter? Is it pan fried? That type of stuff. Because sometimes it's not that clear on a menu, and it doesn't hurt to ask. So I usually, and try not to make things, and I don't try to make things complicated, but I'll just say can you put that on the side? Stuff like that. But on Monday you did get a day of food and some meal examples of eating out, and those are actually meals that the coaches have all eaten and what we would order today. Qdoba is another good place that's on the go. That's quick, fast. You can even if you call ahead, you can even get stuff kind of catered style and say like if you want like a bunch of chicken or a bunch of the veggies and stuff like that, and you can get that all separated out and take it with you. Another place to kind of do that at is like Salad Station or any of those like build your own bowls type of stuff. You can definitely in a sense meal prep when you haven't gone to the grocery store. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to, say, Salad Station and made several different bowls of like different combinations of vegetables that probably would have cost me way more if I had bought all those ingredients separately at the grocery store, but I just needed it for like one meal. And I got a lot of variety because I made several different meals just kind of meal prepping there. They also, at Salad Station, they also have a hot bar, and a lot of times they'll have like chicken kebabs. Actually, I don't know if they've had that in a while, but they used to have it. Then sometimes I'll go in there even just to buy like their sweet potatoes because I haven't like baked one or something like that. Another good restaurant or another place is kind of like your barbecue places. Now, a lot of barbecue places will have like, you know, roasted chicken and stuff and like leaner meats that you can buy by the pound. So when you haven't had time to cook, you know, think stuff like that, like rotisserie chicken. I mean, when I go to get a rotisserie chicken or I go to Sam's, I always buy a rotisserie chicken. And there's several people like through Clean Kitchen use the rotisserie chicken and like a veggie side type of meal like all the time just because it's like a no-brainer. And you don't have to, you know, cook it or, you know, it's something quick and it's always going to be something kind of like that backup plan type of thing. So it's stuff like that you can just writing it down, thinking about it, understanding like where you can go get these things is like 80% of the battle, you know, like knowing what you could do in those scenarios when you don't have a plan is what's going to help keep you on track, because that's where people get derailed. People don't get derailed because they just throw complete caution to the wind and don't want to make good choices. It's because life like throws them a curveball or something in their schedule gets like, you know, messed up and it throws them off their train of thought or off their path that they wanted for that day. But if you have the backup plan and you have those type of choices already in your mind that you know you could do in any situation, then the stress of that, of making a bad choice or, you know, not staying on track is gone. Like all you have to do is follow through. Just like what we've said with a 3-day meal plan. You know, your 3-day meal plan can be a 3-day meal plan of like, oh, I'm going on a 3-day trip type of thing, like planning for a vacation, you know, or planning to travel. You know, you can do a 3-day meal plan for any situation. You just have to realize that you are planning, like, and that's what you have to do if you're wanting to make good choices. Eventually you will be able to like wing it. I've winged it plenty of times, but until you can habitually like make decisions like and understand what you can do in any situation, like I know that I can go to travel in the airport and I'm going to find something that I can eat. I can make it happen. And I don't necessarily have to know what restaurants and stuff are there. Like I just know what is probably going to be available to me. But even if there's not something like, you know, just perfect available as far as my habits go, I'm not going to stress out about it too much. Now, I will have a backup plan and I'll have some backup snacks type of thing, but I'm not necessarily going to freak out about, you know, not being able to get something. But until you understand the process and you feel really comfortable in your choices, I would highly recommend making any kind of a 3-day meal plan for any scenario, whatever is coming up. So take a look at those ideas, but then take those assignments very seriously, especially, right now when we're only in week 4. And honestly, in this first month, like everybody's like fired up, ready to rumble. They're trying to knock out their habits. But about week 4 through 6, like you start losing a little bit of steam. Because why? Because it gets kind of hard, Other things start taking over your priority list, and you start giving yourself excuses or justifying other choices of not doing these things that feel a little bit more challenging whenever life schedules really hit hard and it doesn't feel like such a high priority in the moment. That's why you have these technically emergency plans type of thing, the freezer meals, the quick cooking meals that we're actually going to go over quick cooking meals. I think it's tomorrow, Thursday. Having the restaurant back up. Like this is like a super important, real life application type of week of assignments, because I use this stuff all the time. You're not always going to be able to cook every single meal. And so to make this plan, to understand it, have it in your head, is going to be just as crucial as it is, learning how to cook. This is just as crucial, is learning how to plan on the go and know those choices. So take those assignments really, really seriously. One of the things that we wanted you to do too, and I can't remember which lesson this is in, but it was almost like, everybody has this idea that they're gonna be perfect every day. Like you have the best intentions. And like I've said earlier, life can hit you in the face, schedules can get, rearranged, you can have, just crazy stuff happen. But there comes a time when you do have some limiting factors that do tend to sabotage you, maybe daily. But you're just not realizing that they're actually sabotaging you. Or if you find yourself justifying, certain things each day that, certain problems that rise up kind of habitually, I guess you could say. If you're finding those type of things, like, your mid-afternoon type of time where you're feeling more irritable, or you find a problematic meal that you just can't seem to get right, or you feel like this one portion of your day or your week is always tough, and you tend to fail, at getting what you think that you should be doing in that moment type of thing. I want you to look back on, weeks or troubles that you've had, or if you feel like you had, like, if you were to have one perfect day, what would that day look like? Write it out, what you would eat, what time you would eat, and then also I want you to think about what happens prior to that, like the build up to that, so like what would you need to do in order to make that happen? Like those type of situations, the meal that you would need to have, if you're like, I suck at eating breakfast every single day, or dang it, I didn't eat until lunch, but I meant to eat breakfast. What is it that keeps you from getting that meal in? That the meal that you want to get in, the goal that you have, or that habit or eating the plants that you want to eat, what keeps you from doing that? So you need to look before of what leads up to that. Did you not get up early enough? Or did you not prep before the night before? Do you need to assemble things the night before so you're able to get ready in time for work because you know that you're a terrible morning person type of thing? Think about those prior type of actions that would lead to your success. Because rarely is anybody just successful 100% of the time on spur of the moment type of stuff. Like, if you're not a morning person now and you're well into adulthood, you're probably never going to be a morning person. So don't try to force it on yourself. Try to put things in place that will still allow you to be successful in that morning. So whether it's, what you did the day before, what you need to plan ahead before, anticipate what's going to happen, those type of things. And if there's something that you just can't wrap your head around, like you have this log jam that happens every day or every week that, totally sabotages you of what you want to accomplish, ask your coach. Like, that's what they're there for, to help you kind of, go back and forth, figure out these little icky situations, and even post it on the page. Like, guaranteed, if you're having some kind of, issue with your schedule, your prepping, ideas, whatever it is, somebody in the group has had the same issue. So ask it on the page. Don't feel embarrassed about asking questions or asking, for certain, inspiration. So for the rest of the week, it's kind of building on all those, that type of stuff, where it's a quick cooking meal. We've got some of those ideas coming tomorrow. You got about, on yesterday, you got about smoothies. I had a smoothie yesterday. I've said this before. I think we put some non-dairy ideas in that lesson, if I'm not mistaken. But, even if you're a person that can't handle whey protein, I do a smoothie that doesn't have any dairy in it as well. And I posted it yesterday because I don't use whey protein sources. But even I'll use those occasionally whenever I need something fast. So smoothies are a great, quick, meal. But, then tomorrow is about quick cooking meals, breakfast, tacos, any kind of ground meat type of stuff, and fish. Those are all really fast, quick cooking meals. I keep fish in the freezer, like shrimp, and I get fish every month from sizzlefish.com. It's like a subscription service, and I eat it all. Like every single month I eat it until it's gone. And those are just, I know some people don't like seafood, but if you don't mind seafood, like seafood is one of the fastest cooking proteins that you can get. And it takes no time at all. That's like one of my go-to. My go-to is one I posted last night, actually. It was like frozen green beans, fish, and then it had some grapes, or either like sweet potato or rice or something like that. Those are usually like my emergency meal if I haven't like cooked anything, or, breakfast. So that's going to wrap up this week. You do have Saturday, you do have photos and measurements due. There's a good video actually in that card. It's about weight fluctuation. So I know the first part of the challenge, you probably had a big, lots of progress, like weight loss type of thing, and maybe things start to slow down a little bit. Completely normal, but then it's also completely normal to fluctuate in your weight on a daily basis. And so I know for me, and this is for anybody, don't weigh at different times of the day. Like when you wake up in the morning, if that's the time you've decided that you're gonna weigh, which that's the time that I recommend that everybody weighs, because you've been asleep, you haven't been eating, you have probably digested a lot of your food, and you haven't drank a ton of water type of thing, that's going to give you your truest weight. But always weigh at the same time. Don't weigh one morning and then 2 weeks later weigh right before you go to bed. If you weigh at night, you have had all day of eating food and drinking water and putting more weight into you. So yeah, a couple of pounds here and there it's going to show. So don't get too crazy about it whenever, you're 2 pounds up or whatever. And if you saw one of our posts from the other day, I actually posted for the ladies about Busted Can of Biscuits week. And so where you're at in your cycle, it matters, especially how you hold on to how you hold on to water. So if you wanted to look at the public page, that post is there. So I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about, a couple of pounds here and there. Now, if you go anywhere over like the 5 pound mark, then yeah, you're probably going in the wrong direction type of thing. But that would be reflected in your food log. And so unless you're not writing down what you're actually eating. But if you're doing your habits and you're doing what you need to be doing and checking off your boxes, eating more quality foods, that type of stuff, you're going to be fine. Just trust the process. So I hope you guys are enjoying this week of lessons. It's one of my favorites. I know I say it all the time, but each week builds on the next one. And so while we're trying to get your head wrapped around real life situations and real life applications here of like not everything's going to be perfect, you need to plan for the unexpected. Next week we're actually going to be talking about carbs. It's all week talks about carbs and how important they are for you, and how people have demonized that one food group, and it shouldn't be demonized. You just need to understand what carbs are better than others and how they work in your body. So if you are a carbophobe, next week is for you. And if you love carbs, it's going to justify just how much carbs are awesome. So you don't want to miss any of those lessons. And we'll be back for the coaches chat again on Wednesday. I'll let you know of the time. It may be the regular 11:30 time. It may be earlier. But keep checking the Facebook page and I'll let you know. If you have any questions, y'all let us know and give us some of those quick cooking ideas that you have. That's the lesson for tomorrow. And if you have ideas for restaurants in your emergency meal, post those. We love seeing that. It gives everybody ideas. All right, so we will talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good rest of the week.